Welcome back, everybody. So in today's episode, we are finally going to slap some paint on this Ford Escape project I've been posting over the last little while. If you guys haven't seen the previous videos in the series, in particular the last video, I'd strongly recommend checking them out. In the last video I did a walkthrough of my garage. I explained the equipment I have and how I've set everything up to be able to spray it all. And in the previous episodes before that, I just do all the repairs leading up to the paint stage. The paint stage is generally the shortest amount of hands-on time with the car, so it's all those steps leading up to the paint that really make the job. Alright guys, let's get to it. So we got the car blown off, parts blown off, garage somewhat blown out, garage closed up now, as you can see. So now we're going to mask off the garage. I got a few ideas on what I'm going to do here. I'm not sure if any of them are going to work. I'm not under any kind of idea that I'm going to get a perfectly spotless job. I'm in a garage. Even in a spray booth, you don't always get a spotless job. Very rarely do you get a spotless job, actually. Obviously, we want to keep it as clean as we possibly can. So yeah, we'll get this masked up. I've got a couple 20-inch box fans there and a pile of furnace filters, and let's see what we can do. Alright guys, so it's getting a little later in the evening here. I think it's almost 5, give or take. Unfortunately, I need to get this sprayed today. Tomorrow's supposed to be colder, maybe a little bit rainy, which isn't ideal for spraying for two reasons. One, when it's colder, it's going to take a lot longer for our paint to dry and flash off. And two, I'm spraying waterborne paint. If it's rainy and super humid outside, I'm obviously not in a climate control booth. If it's rainy and humid, it's going to take a long time for my stuff to flash. I don't want to be waiting here because I am going to have to do 6 coats of base coat, so like 3 coats of base, 3 coats of mid, before I can clear, and that's going to take forever. It's going to take an hour to flash between coats. That's not going to work for me. So I'm going to get this sprayed tonight, even if I have to stay up late to do it. So here's what we have so far. So one end of the garage, we got furnace filter taped to an open window, and then we got this half of the garage masked, and then as you can see, we got our furnace filter taped to a 20-inch fan down here. I decided to just go with one fan for now. We'll see how it works, guys. This is my first time doing this in the garage, so we're gonna see what's gonna happen. So we got our car on this side, obviously. So essentially what I'm planning to do is we're gonna backmask our car right now. We're gonna drape poly, and then we're gonna tape our poly about halfway across the hood and then sort of up to our ceiling here. So we're essentially just gonna have a tunnel here. I'm gonna have one sort of flap right here to get in and out. So I'll do my paint mixing on the other side of the garage there. And then, yeah, ideally once I come in, I'll tape my flap closed while everything flashes. So just stay in here between coats. And yeah, we'll see what happens. So I'm going to give the panel a wipe down here before I start masking to it, because masking tape doesn't like sticking to dust. So I'll be wiping down with some Sikkens M600. So this isn't mine, my old coworker Cam, the guy who was in one of my previous videos there, or maybe earlier in this video. I don't know how it's edited out at this point. Nonetheless, he dropped this off. It's something you don't go through much of, but at $100 a can, give or take, it's not the cheapest stuff. So I'll be wiping down with sort of a 2-rag system here. So just gonna be wiping in one direction. And this is not our final wash, but it is pretty close. So our final wash we'll talk about when we get to that. And then I'm just gonna go by with my second one here. So as you guys can see, my painting tunnel here is coming along. I figured I'd just stop and chat with you for, or stop with the time lapse for a little bit and chat with you guys for a little short while here. So what I'm doing right now, because a lot of my edges are back masked, meaning the adhesive side is what is exposed, and that's what my poly is sticking to right now. So what I'm doing now is just going over all that tape with the razor blade, and I'm not putting much pressure on it, just kind of the weight of the razor blade. And that'll be enough to cut through the poly, but not cut through the... It'll be enough to cut through the poly, but not enough pressure to actually cut through the tape and damage anything underneath it. So this does take some practice. I have seen people damage stuff before trying to do this. However, it's really not that tough. I find the biggest challenge when you're cutting like this is when you have a big edge like this that isn't back masked, that's just an over mask, so there's nothing holding this piece of poly here. So I find for those areas it's nice to just sort of do like a short section, put a piece of tape on short section, so on and so forth. Now this is somewhere that you could use skinny tape, 3/4 inch tape. However, I don't have any, so 1.5 inches it is. While we're talking about tape, do yourself a favor if you're doing any auto body work, get proper tape, like American PG, 3M, and get it from an auto body store, not a hardware store like Home Depot or whatever, because it's not the same stuff. I don't know if you guys can see me struggling, but I had some cheap painter's green tape that I was using when I was trying to put the paper across my garage door on the outside there, and the stuff would just curl back on itself, doesn't stick to anything. Just garbage tape, and I feel like they're like the same price, like $7-ish a roll, give or take. So just do yourself a favor and get half decent tape. Don't buy crappy stuff. And as you can see, your poly just like falls right off it. Nice and easy. I have to apologize here, guys. I've been motoring trying to get this thing ready to spray, and I've been skipping just a little bit with the videos, just a little bit. You guys can see most of everything I've done. I've got some duct tape running along the floor here, holding my poly down, making a nice seal down there. I've got kind of a door over here that'll get sealed. So I decided to set up this workbench to spray on instead of one of my other ones that is outside of the booth. So I'm going to be bringing everything in here. I'm going to stay in here as much as I can during it. I will be spraying waterborne, and I do have a fan pulling everything out, ideally. So got that guy ready to go there. So we're going to paper some of the floor here. I'm going to pull out the rest of the supplies I need, and then we'll paper the rest of the floor back here, get my stand set up, and get my parts hung ready to spray. Whoosh, it's going to be a long night. Here is a view from outside of my makeshift booth. As you can see, everything aside from the door on the left-hand side of the vehicle there, or the back side of the vehicle, everything is completely sealed by poly and tape. There's no room for any overspray to escape into the surrounding garage. It'll ideally all flow in just through the furnace filter on the one end and out through the fan and furnace filter on the right-hand side of the picture. Well, guys, we have built ourselves a beautiful tent. As you can see, we are completely sealed in here. Got my door sealed off. So we've got our fan down there, filter up here. Got our parts in. They've been wiped down with the M600. Last thing I have to do here, I'm going to do my final wash, but before that, I'm going to run some FBS fine line tape around this bottom edge because I don't know if you can see here, but I was able to get the tape around the rubber molding up here. However, it was just too tight around here, so I'm going to run some FBS fine line, and then after my second coat of clear, after it's tacked up for 5-10 minutes, I'll peel that off, and then everything will flow in nicely and not leave us funky looking hard edge there. So yeah, we're going to do that. Then our final wash with some Devilbiss Wipe out. It's essentially an acetone and alcohol wipe. So that'll be our final wash. Then we'll tack everything down, and then we're ready to spray. Alright guys, so moment of truth here. I think we are ready to spray. So I'll be spraying base with my Phaser 5000 HVLP with a 1.4 tip. Yes, we got our Sikkens Ruby Red Layer 1. So Sikkens likes to be sprayed, they're waterborne anyway, the Autowave MM and MM 2.0. Like to be sprayed anywhere from 10 to 50%, really depends on the situation. I'll be spraying at I'm going to start off at 20%, see how it lays. We might up that a little bit as we get further into our blends. I might have to do a couple mixes here. I got my cups last minute, and as you can see, they aren't the largest. And of course, I only have 3, so I got one for base coat, one for mid coat, one for clear coat. Worst case, I do have a couple bigger ones outside of our booth here, but woo, there we go. And honestly, if we have a little extra left over for touch-ups afterwards, that'd be fantastic. So let's go. And then we got our Sikkens Activator Waterborne, which honestly, I think it's just deionized water, but what do I know? I'm just a painter. All right, so there's a 20% reduction. Sikkens does like to be shaken. Well, you can shake or stir it. I prefer to shake it personally. However, A, I don't have a paint shaker here, and B, if I had an SATA RPS cups, you can shake them in those very efficiently. However, it gets expensive doing garage jobs and stuff if you're going through a $2 to $3 cup for every mix, whereas I think these are 50 cents or something like that. All right, get our filter on here. These holders aren't necessary. It is just nice being able to see how much is actually flowing in there, especially if you're using a full cup. We won't be getting close to a full cup today. Oh, we have almost half that pint left, so that is good. I think we should get away with this half pint, roughly, that we have mixed. Yeah, there's that chance we might need some more of this, so we'll just leave that guy like that. Yeah, so I'm going to set my fan to the lowest setting. I'm going to hit the body first and then my parts. And then, yeah, we'll let things flash. Let's see what happens, guys. Wish me luck. There's 1,001 things that could go wrong, and let's cross our fingers that things go smoothly tonight. So I was all set to spray there, and then I realized I had a high flow fitting on my gun, not a A-style like I run in the garage here, so we got that swapped over. Let's try this again. Right here I'm adjusting the regulator on my gun, and I'm noticing some pretty intense drop-offs in my air pressure, which we will address here shortly. All right, one coat in and we already had our first little fiasco. So the pressure from the fan, even on the lowest speed, well, you can see the fan is doing its work. Look at that red ring on there. Nice. All right, so that's obviously working. It's working a little too well though. It's actually sucking my walls in, and the wall gave out down there as well as up here. And when it gave out down here, it actually, the poly landed on here, which is not horrible. I'll be able to sand that out with some 800 here. Yeah, aside from that, going smooth. I'm starting this coat with just a really light bridging coat or mist coat over those 800 scratches on that one corner that was damaged by the poly. Alright guys, I'm sorry the compressor's noisy. I figured out a better solution. I spray my paint, then I switch the fan on to sort of purge everything out. Worked a lot better that time, didn't have any poly coming off the walls, so let's put on coat number 3, see what happens. So knock on wood, things are going smoothly so far, aside from that one little hiccup of the poly falling off the wall. Yeah, I got 3 coats on there, don't quite have coverage yet. Sickens these reds sometimes take 4, sometimes 5 coats to get coverage, which isn't great, but it is what it is, nothing you can do about that. Aside from applying a darker colored sealer, which in this case we didn't seal. I need to play around with my regulators. I'm spraying off a little 20-gallon unit right now, and 20 gallons is not enough for spraying cars. It's really pushing it for this. And my regulator isn't set very well either because I'm having issues. I get major, like super high pressure off the brake and then huge drop off. It jumps from like 60 down to 14 PSI on my gun, which I'm able to account for. I've sprayed enough that I'm able to sort of make some corrections on the fly with my gun speed and whatnot, but it is not ideal for consistency. So I'm going to be playing with that. I do have this 60-gallon unit hiding behind the poly there that I've been rebuilding. I might just end up buying a new head for it. But yeah, so if you're spraying, make sure you have half-decent equipment as well in your garage. So we'll get this flashed off and throw a 4th coat on, see where we're at. Four coats didn't quite get us there. You can still kind of see the line right in there, the primer line. And that's just in color, not in texture. So like, the texture's nice and even, nice and smooth, kind of a satin finish, kind of how we want it, exactly how we want it. However, you can still kind of see, it's harder to see on here, but that line is still there. So I mixed up enough for another coat in a bit, and we're at about 30% reduction right now. So we'll slap that on there and see how it looks. You'll notice that the passes on each coat go a little bit further along the panel, just like we did with the primer. I started small and each coat got a little bit bigger. You'll also notice that I'm not flicking my gun at the end of each pass on the left side of the panel. I'm just feathering off the trigger, and that's going to prevent too much overspray from going up to the edge of our panel. Again, this is a very cozy blend, so there is going to be some overspray there, but we do want to mitigate that as much as we possibly can. Alright guys, so I got some of my booth lights off now so that we can have a better look with the sun gun. So it looks pretty good here, and then you throw the sun gun on it and boom, look at that primer line. This is one of the things that drives me nuts about Sikkens paint. They tell you it'll cover in 3 coats, and here we are 5 coats later, so we're gonna throw another coat on here, and yeah, let's hope we get there. Yeah, you can still see that line there as well. Oh, it's gonna be a late one, guys. We're at about 11:30 right now, so whatever, we'll get it done. Another update before we spray here. I got myself all sealed up in here again, was ready to spray, and then I didn't have enough pressure. I was getting like 10 psi at my gun or something like that, despite being at 40 on the reg of my little compressor. So I cranked the regulator on that one back up to the whatever, wide open, and then I set the you can't see through my poly here, but I've got a Devilbiss filtration system on the wall, so on that regulator I set myself to about 40, and now it seems to be holding steady with a very slow drop, so I think that'll make my life a lot easier here. All right, let's try this again. Seven is the magic number of coats you need with Sikkens Red to achieve hiding over a light gray. But we're there, we got coverage with that, so a couple coats of mid, and we'll slap some clear on this puppy, color done. It's now midnight, so that's all flashed off now. We're ready for our mid coat. However, I did just do a quick tack along the roof rail there, and there's a lot more than that. That's what I started with. So I just took it down to the roof rail to about here. I don't want to go too much further, otherwise we're going to start disturbing metallics. So yeah, we'll get our mid coat on there, and then we're into clear. So while I was waiting for that to flash, I just went by and touched up any rock chips in the A-pillar. There were a couple of them. For that, I just used the base coat, not the mid coat. It's not really necessary. You're just trying to cover up the white chips. They're not going to be perfect, but you can make them pretty much invisible. Unfortunately, I didn't get any footage of my second coat of mid coat going on there. However, it was very similar to the first one, just sort of a medium wet coat, going a little bit further than the base coat and a little bit further than my first mid coat. So here are a couple shots of the finished parts ready for clear. Before moving on to clear coat, I'm just going to give my cup and my base gun a quick clean. The cup's pretty straightforward. For the base gun, I like to pull the fluid adjustment knob, pull the needle out, and then pull the air cap and fluid tip. That gives me access to everything that had any paint contact on it. I'll throw a link in the description to the gun cleaning kit I use from Amazon. Super cheap, works well, and it's all you really need. Alright guys, so I wanted to give this a little longer to flash off. It's been about 30 minutes. I would have preferred almost an hour just with how much product we have on there. Although I'm gonna go ahead and start clearing here just because it is getting windy outside, and the front of the garage, as you saw, is just papered, so I want this thing dust free as soon as possible. If we do get any dye back from hammering the clear on right now, like, we've given it a good amount of time, but if we do get any dye back, and it's my neighbor's vehicle, I can give it a polish more or less whenever. So we're going to be polishing this thing anyway. I think we're probably going to end up doing 3 coats of clear here just due to the amount of dust, and you saw all that overspray floating around on the panels. So we'll be spraying clear with my SATA Phaser 5500 1.3 RP. Fancy little unit. So today we're going to be mixing up some Imperium 2K Euro Performance Clear. I checked with my paint reps and they said that it will indeed work over the Sikkens base coat, which isn't surprising. Both made by AkzoNobel. Their Imperium waterborne line sprays very similar to Sikkens, almost identical. And this stuff here, actually, I've sprayed it before at work, and it sprays almost identical to Energy Select LV chickens. So this is a 2-to-1 mix ratio. Problem with these cups is like if you go 2-to-1, you can only really get half a cup out of it. 4-to-1 is the same as 2-to-1. So we'll pour the 6 there. All right, guys, so we're gonna start spraying here. Once I start spraying, I'm not gonna be taking off my mask again at this point with spraying clear. The waterborne base coat, even when it's sort of hovering in the air here, is not good for you. Clear is really not good for you with the isocyanates in it. So once I get spraying, I won't talk anymore. If I think of anything more to say, I will just overlay during editing. We're almost at the end of our video here, guys, but let's just take a minute and talk about that. Yeah, so I'm guessing if you are in the industry and you're watching this, you were probably cringing through that entire clear coating section. Maybe through the rest of the video too, but that's beside the point. I was cringing while spraying. I'm cringing while I'm editing it right now. That was not a good situation. There was not enough ventilation. That overspray is extremely bad for you. Something I've gotten into the habit of since then is always taking my coveralls to my gloves. That's one less point of skin contact. So anytime clear coat's landing on your skin, your eyes, your mouth, getting into your lungs, it's not good for you. It builds up and will cause isocyanate poisoning. And I'm kind of torn on this one. For the average guy at home, a charcoal respirator is going to do the trick, but you do have to keep in mind they don't filter out all the isocyanates. They're designed to filter out the VOCs. I could go on and on and on about that, but yeah, guys, if you're going to be doing this at home, make sure you have proper ventilation. Don't be like this guy and do that. Yeah. Alright guys, back to it.
Alright guys, talking you through my respirator here because it's still a little hazy. That was stupid. Even with the fan going, that was not clearing nearly enough. So yeah, that was dumb. Not impressed. However, paint-wise, our paint actually looks not half bad. Definitely a little nibby. No doubt about that. Gonna have some polishing to do. But as far as the clear itself laying down, it went not too bad. Flipping the regulator like I did seemed to do the trick, really clean things up for me. So, yeah, overall, I'm not unhappy with the finish. So we'll see how it looks tomorrow, see if we get any dye back or whatever from, well, A, we put 3 coats on, and B, just over that much base. So, yeah, not too shabby.
Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I had a ton of fun putting this video together, in particular, being the painting is what I do every day for a living. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to check out any of the links in the description that I have, they are affiliate links, so any purchases made through those do help me out, lets me keep doing this stuff for you guys, which I quite enjoy. If you guys want to see any of my other videos, want to catch my future updates, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and please hit the like button too if you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.